everyone, this is Chestnut. Welcome to Yardcore. I think this is episode 6. We are on Emberlee's plot. I think the last name is pronounced Quenesti.
Quenesti?
Cool. Emberlee Quenesti's plot, Firefly in the Sky. And this is the at plot that everyone has been talking about for forever. So we're going to do a tour, and I'm excited.
Good morning. It's nice to meet you.
Wonderful to meet you. So,
Okay.
at. This is going to be fun.
At. Yes. I guess we'll start here on the ground. Um, my goal in making the at was really kind of to give the community something new to look at. There's a lot of spacecraft and space stations and moon bases and things like that. And my goal was to create something on a grand scale with a little life to it, that sort of evokes some emotions. It's something that a lot of people can relate to. A lot of people are familiar with the series, but I also wanted to give it a very distinctly Nexus WildStar flair. It was more AT-AT inspired than it was in an attempt to actually be like the movie creation. Um, but I did want it to be imposing and kind of have a wow factor when you come on the plot. Kind of a forward slash gasp. This is one of my favorite angles right here because you can really just kind of look up and get an idea of the scale. You almost feel like you're on Hoth and this foot's coming towards you, and it's also a good ground view perspective to really get an idea of just how huge this thing is. It was a lot of fun to put together. I started with the feet, kind of got an idea of the dimensions of the plot, and then built up from there.
This is amazing. Like, I just can't stop smiling.
And that's kind of what I was hoping for. I was hoping that it would just be something that, almost everyone's familiar with the Star Wars franchise, and I was hoping that it would evoke some warm fuzzies and, wow, look at this, here we are in WildStar, and here's this, this AT-AT, but it's with that WildStar flair, and it's something people are familiar with. It resonates with them. So we'll just take the graph pad up here. And I guess we can start over here. The whole point of all this scaffolding over here is really just to give you a profile view of it. I wanted it to be as visible and accessible from as many angles as possible. Um, so I thought it would be nice to have a beautiful profile shot for people to enjoy, and once again taking a different perspective and different scope of it, see how it was built and what went into it. I didn't want it to be static. I didn't want it to have the legs all straight up and down. So I really pushed myself at the time on this project. Up until this point, I had only, I had done a castle that was pre-drop 4, and but my skills were really rudimentary. I didn't know a lot, and I wanted to push myself. So I made the legs where they're moving. It took a lot of time. The head is turning around and looking, and tried to just sort of put as much life into a static object as I could to make it look like it's real, it's moving, it's in your face kind of.
No, you did a good job of that. Like, it looks like it's turning to hit an Imperial, or, sorry, not an Imperial. God, I'm terrible. A Republic soldier.
Yeah, you just feel like you're a rebel on Hoth, or you're down there and in the snow, and you're looking up at this behemoth walking across the property, and it was a lot of fun. You enter in here through the rear, use the Dominion door, which I love the Dominion doors. Oh, I'll let you get it. There we go. And you walk in, and this was intended to be sort of the main engine room. I put lots of fun things you can interact with and turn on back here, and I want it to be as interactable as possible so people could play with decor and just sort of get them a great idea of once again life and scale and feel like it's real. Um, Put in some control panels and lots of lights and sparks and glow, just to try to evoke the sheer power that it takes to drive this thing. Um, so it was a real fun project, real enjoyable to make. Pushed my limits. I'm currently on another project where I'm trying to push things radically past what I needed to learn to do this. Um, Hopefully that'll be ready in a few weeks. But I've been absolutely humbled and delighted by the response to the AT-AT. I wanted everything that you did, whether you're coming on the property or for like every door you open, for there to be sort of a wow moment, something new to look at and keep you engaged in the AT-AT and in the property. So as you open up the doors leaving the engine room, I built a TIE fighter. So put a little TIE Advanced in here. Um, it was tricky. I used the Chua floors for the wings here, and they're re- really difficult to get lined up. I put an embarrassing amount of time into getting it as flawless as I could, and thought that that would just be, once again, another warm moment for fans to come in, not only fans of the WildStar franchise, but fans of the Star Wars franchise to come in and see something they weren't expecting to see.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I know we've had debates in Guild on could a TIE fighter really fit in an AT-AT? I don't know.
yeah,
Let's look it
and
up and look at the dimensions
yeah,
and
the answer is no, which is why I kind of go back to I wanted this to be AT-AT inspired. The scale of this one is actually much larger than the movie one, and of course it was more for troop transport and stuff. There wasn't TIE fighters inside them, but I wanted to cram as much in here as I could, more to make it fun. So, I put a little hatch in the bottom here where it can drop down and fly off and do battle and whatnot and come back. So just try to add that little element of realism there, but it was really intended to be AT-AT inspired. So that was my goal. Over here at the back of the bay, there's a little ramp going down. And one of the things that I really wanted to accomplish in building the AT-AT was, I know people loved, and especially in the housing community, to be able to crawl all over things and access things. And I wanted to give them as many different access points and perspectives of the AT-AT as possible. So here I just put a little maintenance walk under the belly, where you can go. I use the clear acrylic or glass or whatever you want to imagine it is, so you can look down and see the legs, the movement of the legs from a different perspective, and see some of the fuel rods and vent ports, and just gives you a second layer of perspective. We did the ground layer, and now we're under the belly, and we can kind of crawl all over down here and see how it's made and how it works. And I was hoping that the community would enjoy um, having access to as many parts of this as possible.
yeah, this is pretty awesome.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. It was a massive labor of love. I put about 6 weeks of building into it, 4 to 5 hours a day, in my spare time, and I was really pleased with the results. It was a lot of trial and error. As we exit the back of the TIE Fighter Bay, I put some cryopods here. And of course, it's just another fun thing that people can click on and play with, and adds that extra element of life to the AT-AT. I originally started building the head straight, and the neck was straight, and I was really dissatisfied with that. Like I say, my intention was to push myself and to make it interesting and add life to it. So I ended up scrapping all of that, and got the charming bars here and got them positioned to make a nice curved neck, and then tilted the cockpit as it's aiming down. It's kind of looking at you as you enter the property, which is nice. If you look up, the first thing you see are these my proverbial whipped cream cannons, aimed at you here, but it's staring down at you, and it's delightful to have that extra element of life to it, to have the head turning around, and it took a long time to accomplish, but I'm very pleased with the results, and I think it just ended up being ultimately more exciting than if you had just come on and seen it staring straight ahead, with a very simple build.
Yeah, it looks great from the outside, but like seeing the neck on the inside is mind blowing.
It was so much fun, and the only downside to it really is that it rendered all of my chair decor in here that you can normally interact with and sit in. It rendered it useless. At a certain angle, you can no longer sit in them, so they're really for visual effects now. But overall, I'm just very delighted with the outcome of the head and neck, and I've learned a lot since then. Um, I think if I did it again, I could do even better. But we're just all always pushing ourselves, to our limits. Um, Once again, some more interactable decor. I put a Dominion generator in here, so as they're walking through, there's something for them to do, not only just to kind of take it in, but they can play with things and enjoy. I tried not to spare any expense in it, just to make it as vivid and real and fun and interactable and exciting as possible. So we'll walk up the ramp to the next level, and here I put sort of a staging area, just a common area with a gaming table. Of course, the real AT-ATs didn't have any glass here, but I wanted to add that extra layer of visibility. You can look out over the head and neck. You can look down on the property and over the shoulders there and see, the legs, and it just another nice view. Um, then we'll have to come around the side right here, and the giant power source here, this ball, once again, interactable, accessible gates that you can go through. A little monitor here to sort of monitor the make sure that the power levels are acceptable. Um, and for perspective purposes, I went ahead and put in one of the balconies, and you can just kind of look down over the TIE Fighter Bay and just another fun view of things.
So, how many plots have you done before this one?
Before this one, I did two. One is a natural plot. It's still sort of a work in progress. It was more of a fun plot for me, a learning experience where I was learning how to plop trees in the ground. And the second one is my alt Tiger Whisperer Heart Songs Castle. That was pre-drop 4, so there's no glass or anything, but I did some fun skins, like I skinned over a kiddie pool fab kit, and just sort of stretched myself some more before this one. So two plots before this one. And as we walk through the door, here's the med bay. Real poor idea of where to put the med bay, because if you get shot in the leg or whatever, you have to limp up all these flights of ramps and flights of stairs to get up here to, to address that. But I tried to have fun with it, make it look antiseptic almost. My There's a lot of Dominion and Chua influence in the build here. Um, and of course I'm Exile, so I kind of came up with a fun backstory to explain that, because I've had people say, well, this it looks so Dominion, and I'm like, yeah, well, if you go through the inside of this, there's no bathrooms in it. If you notice, there's no bathroom anywhere. So in my mind, Emberlee was on one of her adventures, and they had to stop the AT-AT uh, and get out and use the restroom facilities. And while they were doing that, I hijacked it. So,
That's
so it's
awesome.
so embarrassing to go back and explain how you lost your experimental Chua Dominion tech project, because you had to use the restroom. So it was just a funny way to explain away some of the decor. Put a little attack buggy here. I had a lot of fun with that. Um, right down to angling the wheels and things, just to give that little element of movement and life, and some headlights and a gun turret and things. Those drop pods are so much fun because there's just so many things you can do with them. I incorporated it into the TIE fighter down there and up here in this, and even in the skin over that I did of the Piglet ship down below the AT-AT, incorporated them into that. They're really fun decor pieces. So this is just sort of a munitions room here. You've got your guns and swords and explosives and things that might be associated with a craft of this nature. And then there's a final ramp. Um, that goes up. Once again, sort of unrealistic. You know, they didn't have anything like this in the original AT-ATs in the movie series, but I just knew that as people were coming onto the lot, one of the big questions would be, well, can you get up on it? And I wanted to be able to say, yeah, you can, you know. So I used up a lot of decor pieces to make the top accessible. And once again, as you open the doors, here's a moving, you know, interactive, well, not interactive, but lifelike, you know, gun on the back. It just gives you something fun to look at as you walk through that door. And at the top here, you can, it's literally built right at the top of the property. I could push decor past this point, but it's built at the very top. So you're right at the ceiling of the property here. And it's just a beautiful view to be able to physically get on the very tippy top of the AT-AT and look down over the joints and the legs and the property. And it really gives this final scope of scale and visibility that I was hoping for to give as many different perspectives of this housing plot as possible. You can peer over the sides and over the shoulder and see how it was built and made, and even jump over the neck here onto the head. And the visibility from the inside where I put the glass in the cockpit was very poor, so now you're finally on top here and the visibility is much better, and it just gives a great view of the sides and the property and scale.
This is pretty amazing. So you've gone over why you wanted to build the plot, but what got you into housing in the first place?
Um, when I first started playing WildStar, I did very little in the housing. I thought it was a unique aspect of the game, but wasn't too uh, terribly interested in trying my hand at it other than putting a house on the lot, you know, the one of the basic starter homes, and putting a few trees around it and a bed and things like that. And I would have to say that we have an incredible, I can't tout it enough, an incredibly talented housing community in WildStar. So creative, so dedicated, and really, I think the AT-AT pales compared to some of the creations that people have out there. But I started visiting some lots and seeing what people were doing, and I have sort of an artistic nature, and I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe I can do something that reflects me a little bit and my interests. And I'm a medieval nut. In real life, I have a suit of steel plate and chainmail armor, 16th century grotesque armor that I wear to Renaissance festivals and things like that. So I started with the castle. You know, I was like, I'm going to build a castle. And it just kind of went from there. And now I would have to say I spend, 20 or 30% of my time adventuring and stuff like that. And the rest of the time I've been spending in housing lately. I'm just delighting in it and obsessed with it. It's really become an obsession to push myself and see what can I do next. You know, what can I do next that people might enjoy. It's partially a reflection of me, but also partially for the community to delight in and enjoy. So the project that I'm working on now is from a series that some people will be familiar with, and I'm hoping to get another positive response and evoke more, you know, warmth and emotions in people, give them something that that resonates with them, that they can relate to, and will be fun for the community. But we have an amazing, not only WildStar community, but a housing community. I'm in a guild of two people. Which, you know, there's two people in my guild. It's just a small personal guild for family. But the housing community has really turned into my guild. Emberlee has gotten to be somewhat of a well-known name. And I just love talking and playing around and goofing off and having fun with people in this awesome housing community that we have in this game.
It is a pretty awesome housing community. I'm blown
It
away
is.
by everything
Yeah.
everyone does because I have no spatial uh, anything. I could never do anything. I can barely make a room in my house, so it like blows my mind the things people come up with.
Well, I've never been on a plot I didn't like. It's like I kind of keep an open mind and I walk on, and it's a reflection of their personality, of their ability, of their creativity. And I know that they, even if someone just puts a tree in the ground, they took their time to put that tree in the ground and make it theirs, you know? So it's just, it's fun. It really is.
So is there any more to see in the at?
Inside, no. There is a ship below, which was the intention of the ship was to be my personal housing quarters. Um, it's incomplete. It's still a work in progress all this time after I'm actually off on another project right now. And the reason it's incomplete is because it's not what people come to see. This is actually the Piglet ship uh, that we got from doing the beta. It was one of Carbion's wonderful gifts to us, to give you a ship. But it's chunky, and you see them a lot, and so I decided to skin it over and make it into a sleek Eldon fighter kind of craft. Give it its own unique personality. But the original Piglet ship is in there.
That's really
Uh,
cool.
yeah, I wanted just to kind of have fun with it and say, what can I turn this into once again to make it mine? Very incomplete in here. Pardon my dust. It may never be completed at this point. I don't know. This was going to be the living quarters in here with the bunks and things like that. I used the Dominion conference tables creatively into incorporating them into the walls. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I was
What you
gonna
can
say,
do with the
where did you get
decor.
that wallpaper?
Yeah, it's not wallpaper. That's one of the wonderful things about the decor that they've given us. We really have it's a nice array, but we're limited. So the more you can look at a piece of decor and say, I don't see a table, I see a wall, or I see paneling or something like that, the more you can think outside the box, the more creative you can be and more fun you can have with housing. The ramp here is actually Dominion Tech banners, one after another, layered on each other to create a new fun effect. And this, of course, is the engine room, incomplete. The AT-AT is really what people usually come to see, so eventually I might get around to wrapping this up. But I had a lot of fun in here as well, using the golden arrows and the shattered life stones and all the wonderful new glass that they've given us. Once again, the interactive engines and power sources and things that they gave us to have fun with. And the cockpit eventually will be up here, but I don't know when I'll finish it. I'm on this new project now, and I'm so absorbed in having fun with it. And I'll come back here at some point.
So what is your new project?
I want you to see my new project too. I'm actually a big fan of the show. It's a direct tribute to the show. I think I have about 3 weeks left on it, and you'll be one of the first people to know when it's done. I'll come and let you see it and have fun there too. And hopefully you're familiar with it and you're a fan of it, and will enjoy that as well.
I'm excited. So, do you have any tips and tricks for people just getting into housing? You said a couple, like, thinking of different uses for items, like the more you look at them, but any others?
Yeah, I could go into the copy paste features and things like that, but it's all things that are fairly readily available online. I think that my advice for new builders is more of a psychological advice. It's just, it can be overwhelming. I hear it all the time where people will come on the AT-AT property or the so much talent in the community, any number of properties, and they just look at it, they get demoralized, they get discouraged. I could never do this. I can't do this. And you can. I tell everyone, I was like, you can build. They gave us just enough to work with here, and they're adding to it all the time where if you can conceive it, you can build it. So don't get discouraged. Play around with decor and items and rotate them around and flip them. Play with angles. Push yourself, not to the point of getting discouraged or not wanting to do it anymore, but don't limit yourself mentally. Um, because if you do that, it's over. If you say you can't do it, yeah, you can't. You won't be able to. Um, so everything that you can conceive and imagine, um, you can build. It's a process, but that would be my primary advice. Um, would be to just tell yourself you can, and then show it to yourself. Start small if you need to, and build on that. My first properties were sticking trees in the ground, and that was my tree. I put it in the ground. I was proud of that tree. uh, and then every time I do something new, I just push the envelope a little further and like I say in my own mind, I believe that there's a lot of properties out there that put this one to shame. There's so much talent in the community. It's awesome. I would also let them know that I hear a lot of times that, well, I can't afford the fancy stuff, and you really don't have to have a lot of the fancy stuff. Most of the AT-AT here, the basic structure is just made out of the floors and things like that. So, you can do a lot of fun stuff with a lot of really basic stuff. So really hitting the ground running as a low-level character in WildStar, there's still so many options open to you if you have a creative mind to build and have fun and spend some time in the housing community, get to meet all the awesome folks and visit the properties, get inspiration, visit properties, go around and have fun, go on tours. You know, when someone does something you like, compliment them and ask how they did it. Ask lots of questions. I haven't had a single person in housing yet when I'm like, oh my God, what did you do there? How did you do that? Or what is that? I've never had someone say, oh, it's a secret. We have a real open, fun housing community. So for new builders, talk to people. They're so friendly here. It's gotten to be almost a therapy for me. I'm actually an INFJ personality. I'm an introvert. And WildStar Housing is sort of my therapy. It lets me take Emberlee's personality and cut up and have fun and do things that I don't normally do socially in real life. So we have a great community. Talk to people, learn from them, get to know them. Best community out of any MMO I've ever played.
I would totally have to agree with that. So, great segue. If the community wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it?
Right now, this is my first time using TeamSpeak. I've only just recently, within the last few days, gotten Skype hooked up and things like that. So I'm not real technologically savvy as far as that goes. The best way to contact me for any future information or for questions or anything like that would actually be through in-game mail. At this point, I'm in the process of setting up Twitter and things like that and want to have fun with that. But up until now, I haven't. Up until the recent interest in the AT-AT, I hadn't considered utilizing those resources, and I'm relatively unfamiliar with them, but I will be in the future. So if you have questions for me or are interested in hooking up with me in a more social venue at some point in time, like Twitter or something, I will be getting plugged into that. But for right now, feel free. I encourage anyone, if you have some questions or want to talk or anything, or just want to come see the property, just send me some in-game mail, Emberlee Quenesti, um, and I'd be happy to talk with you or encourage you or meet you. So
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your day to show me around and answer questions and all that.
it's my pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you, finally face to face in game, and I appreciate your time and your efforts and your work that you're doing to promote the game and the community. I think it's awesome, and I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you.